Tonight, up and running in Wynyard, the Steel City, now home to the state's first solar digital mining centre. And a 22-year-old man loses his car and licence, but not his life after crashing his ute, allegedly while drunk.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. South Australia's first solar digital mining centre is now up and running in Wynyard. The state's Minister for Trade and Investment visiting the centre today to see how it uses renewable power to provide computing power to the blockchain network.
Turning sunshine into computing power. In Wynyard, Lumo's 5 megawatt digital mining centre has powered up. The centre uses solar panels to power high-tech computers that mine blockchain digital currency.
We mainly mining bitcoins, and we transfer the excess renewable energy into a digital asset.
With their recent success, the company is planning to launch a second 10 megawatt mining facility later this year, using the latest in hydro cooling technology.
Blockchain is a new application that is really taking the world by storm. Hugely important for currency, cryptocurrency and those sorts of transactions.
Having the likes of Lumo Mining establish their presence and a facility in Wynyard is really exciting. Being able to use the renewable energy, which we're obviously blessed with.
Our company builds solar farms and other renewable energy generation facilities to support Australian businesses like this one. This is a new one, it's very innovative, but so is renewable energy still.
To ensure power efficiency, the centre has an inbuilt intelligent control capability, which allows mining computers to ramp up or slow down operations if the grid has a power shortage.
To shut down during the peak hours, like from morning or afternoon. But right now, this minute, we are running 24/7.
Generally speaking, they are a high energy user, but we've got a very good, responsible solution for that.
We've got a new application, part of the new economy, but also, importantly, helping the planet.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
It's not often the Premier of South Australia and his constituents are all in the same room, but that's exactly what happened in Port Pirie last night, allowing the community to ask the hard-hitting questions.
Port Pirie residents from all walks of life took to the stage last night, making sure their voices are heard. Farmers, teachers and emergency workers amongst the crowd posing questions to the Premier. The night began with a mandatory introduction from the government ministers. One man who needs no introductions, local MP Jeff Brock, who calls Port Pirie home, a former smelter employee of 30 years.
All the ministers in Port Pirie and also in Port Augusta, I think it was well and truly overdue. Having every minister out here in the regions, they get the feel, they see exactly what's happened, and when they go back into the cabinet, they all know what the issues are, so we don't have to try and convince each other about what we see out here.
Autism inclusion teachers, one of the big topics broached by locals, as well as child protection, skill shortages and upgrades to the emergency department.
We have appointed the architectural firm that will be doing the designs for the new emergency department, and that's something I think everybody in this local community has every reason to be excited about.
The Malinauskas Labor government is investing $12 million over 4 years to deliver the upgrade, improve infection controls, better protection for staff and patients, and the raising of the overall structure above flood levels. Residents of Port Pirie and surrounds will be able to have their say on the design throughout the consultation period, with construction set to start in 2023 and be completed by 2025. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Emergency services were called to Port Augusta West last night. Officers confronted by the scene in front of them, a ute on its side, sprawled along the highway, blocking the road and footpath. The driver, a 22-year-old man from Mount Barker, somehow was uninjured. Police will allege the roadside blood alcohol test came back positive, with a reading of 0.226, more than 4 times the legal limit. The P-plater now has a court date to attend and has lost his licence for 12 months, and his Ford has been written off. Whyala's aged care facilities are back in good hands, helping hand in fact, for the foreseeable future. Local member Rowan Ramsey now calling on the government to make sure there's enough money for operations to run smoothly.
Looking to stabilise one of Wyala's most important yet fragile services. The member for Grey says Wyala's aged care facilities have been steered back on track since operators Helping Hands took the reins.
The announced acquisition now by Helping Hand, that they are going to completely take over Kindred Living here in Wyala is a big move forward for Wyala.
Helping Hand has administered both the city's Yeltana and Copperhouse Court facilities since late last year, after previous operator Kindred Living was found non-compliant with industry standards.
My mantra at the time was stay calm, we'll get through this, and the first thing we needed was new management because it became clear that the whole thing had become beyond the Kindred Living Board's ability to manage.
With Helping Hand now permanently taking over the facilities, the member for Grey says it's imperative that we see substantial cash injection from the federal government to bring the facilities up to standard. Without it, the current operators may eventually face similar equipment and staffing problems as Kindred Living did.
There hadn't been enough reinvestment in, a lot of trouble attracting staff. Now, those issues aren't over yet. One of those facilities is shut, as we know.
Ramsey says he has raised the issue directly with Aged Care Minister Mark Butler and says he hopes he takes the issue seriously and moves quickly.
That money will rebuild Yeltana and bring it up to speed, like get rid of the shared rooms, get rid of the shared bathroom.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, tax-deductible donations in Port Lincoln to help with books, backpacks and other school essentials. And the Country Arts SA putting on the finishing touches on a Roald Dahl classic. Welcome back. Wyala Police is calling on locals to have a look at this picture and the video we're about to show you to see if they recognise any of these stolen keys. South Australia Police posting this photo on their Facebook page showing multiple sets of keys with distinguishing keychains and lanyards. Officers will allege the keys were stolen sometime between Friday 9th of September and Monday the 12th of September from various locations in Wyala, including Mile Place Retirement Village and Quest Apartments in Wyalanori. Several teenage boys have been connected to the alleged thefts. The Eyre Peninsula Community Foundation is calling upon donors to contribute to next year's back-to-school vouchers. This time round, all donations will double in value, with funds distributed to schools from across the region.
A chance to help students further their education. The Eyre Peninsula Community Foundation is launching its 2023 Back to School Vouchers program and they need your help.
Yes, we leave it to the schools to determine the most worthy case for families and students who would really make a difference in receiving that $50 voucher.
An initiative dating back to 2012, which has been helping students purchase school books, stationery and other essential items.
I think it's about 2012, I reckon we've been doing that for. So last year, in fact, there were $32,000 in $50 vouchers distributed across the region.
Donors can now make a tax-deductible contribution, all for a worthy cause.
So that adds double value. So they get the tax deduction plus the money donated is doubled by the other organisation, FRRR, and all goes towards a worthy cause of helping young people connect with education.
Donations can be made directly to the foundation up until its cut-off date next Friday, September 23.
We get a tremendous amount of feedback from parents and grandparents who have children under their care of how important that money is and makes a real difference to kids when they resume school in the new year.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The President of New South Wales Law Society was in Broken Hill yesterday, touring the city and speaking with lawyers. The visit was to see the challenges solicitors face in country areas.
It was a quick visit to see how the city's top lawyers are going and to understand the obstacles those in the country face.
to see where they're at with their practice and check in on them, and just to have a chat to them about some of the challenges and the concerns that they have around what they do day in and day out in their daily life and their daily practice.
One thing that is noticeable within regional areas like Broken Hill is the use of illicit drugs, with ice being one of particular concern.
I would say that many of the regions that I've travelled to in New South Wales throughout this year are coming up to us and having conversations about ice and about the ice epidemic.
Offenders here in the far west are much more likely to break their bail conditions, an alarming statistic all too common in the bush.
You're seeing things like breach bail and small illicit drug use issues 2 and 3 times the state average out here. So I'm really interested to speak to practitioners to see how they're coping with that.
Another issue concerning Broken Hill and surrounds is the small number of lawyers, especially since they service such a large area.
We only have 5 private practitioners in this area, which I think is services a population of about 20,000.
Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Gulf News.
This year, the Port Pirie Youth Theatre has the biggest cast they've ever had. And here's a hint, it's a super sweet Roald Dahl classic brought to life on the stage.
Port Pirie residents have been handed a golden ticket.
Yes, the Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love.
So much magic. We create so much on this stage that you wouldn't even dream of.
The Youth Theatre provides performing arts experience for children and young people aged 10 to 18 by producing a play or musical each year, performed in front of schools and the general public.
It gives an outlet for kids who might not necessarily be involved in sport, so it's something for them to do instead.
The directors say the kids learn more than just acting skills throughout the process.
Collaboration and working with other kids in the area, we've got a lot of out-of-towners as well, which is great, but just coming together to create a show.
With auditions happening back in March and rehearsals every week, the cast and crew have worked extremely hard on something they're excited to share with the community.
I just think it's going to be very fun because when I first found out, I was very excited because it's something that I loved as a child. I loved Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the book and the films.
Don't miss out on your chance to visit the Chocolate Factory for yourself this Friday and Saturday night. Tickets are still available on Country Arts SA's website. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Yet another community fun day in Broken Hill. Details are next. And Port Lincoln Orienteers enjoy a day at Brinkworth Reserve, their last meet before Nationals. Welcome back. Saturday will be a big one for Big Sky Stories, throwing open the doors for a community open day. There'll be plenty to do and see with face painting, 3D chalk drawing, as well as a songwriting workshop for aspiring musicians.
A day full of excitement and fun. That's what the community can expect on Saturday when dropping into Big Sky Stories.
There'll be some face painting, there's a community weaving project that will be happening that you can come and add to across the day, and we'll put it on display at Big Sky Stories. There's bookmark making, there are macrame flowers that you can make and take home.
There will be a songwriting workshop for ages 8 and up, taught by a very experienced musician.
David Smith. So David Smith has been a singer-songwriter for over 60 years. He grew up in a very musical family. He plays guitar, ukulele, he's taught music.
The store has only been open for 2 months, but this isn't their first rodeo, with more and more locals turning up as word of mouth spreads.
Yeah, it's been really lovely. We've had a really lovely 8 weeks so far. We've had lots of people coming in. It was lovely to have visitors for Monday and the Broken Hill Festival, but more and more locals are finding us as well and coming in.
An initiative the bookshop is particularly proud of is their pay it forward system, the it in this case being a book. So far, 91 books have been purchased, paid forward to the next person who enters the store.
Yeah, the pay it forward has been really encouraging. We've had so many people who have really appreciated the opportunity to be able to do something for somebody else.
The doors open at 9 a.m, with all the fun stuff kicking off at 10:30. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Lincoln Orienteers have held their last meet of the winter season at Brinkworth Reserve. Competitors putting their mapping skills to the test ahead of the Australian Orienteering Championships in Bendigo.
Orienteers were often racing on the weekend. With no time to lose, participants gathered their maps and took on the course at Brinkworth Reserve.
We have about between 40 and 60 people who come out to each orienteering event, and an orienteering event is where you have a map and a compass and you need to find various controls, they're called, which are in order.
The meet was one of 10 in their winter season. The sport accommodates the people of all ages and abilities. Each course designed differently, some more challenging than others.
There's easy courses, which you might follow things like fences or distinctive roads, those type of things. And then there's quite hard courses where you might be just trying to find a clearing or a rock or a boulder in the bush somewhere.
Among the Orienteers is young gun Austin Clem, who will be representing the state junior boys team in the Australian Championships next week.
I made it into the state team, so we're going to Bendigo for a competition in a couple of weeks. Should be good fun. Quite a few competitors, I think 1,000 entered.
Some courses extending as far as 7 kilometres, but you can do it at your own pace with something called a digital SI stick tracking your every move.
An SI stick as well, which is the electronic controller. So everyone now, most of our maps run with electronic controls, which are those little finger sticks people have been wearing. So that means you're digitally mapping where you run and digitally timing where you run.
The group will be mapping out the off-season and will return in February next year. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Thursday fish and tips with our local Spencer Golf experts. And we'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. Keen anglers in Port Pirie have more freedom since some of the fishing restrictions were lifted. Finfish is back on the menu, but mussels and crabs are a no-go. Here's this week's Fish and Tips.
Hi, Whalers fishing tips this week. Well, the salmon certainly have been turning it on for all the anglers across Whyalla land-based. Down towards Black Point, Point Lurley and all the way around Becky Point, all of the rocky coastline has very large schools of salmon. So this weekend a great opportunity to get out and have some fun. Great for the smoke box, great for cat food as well. For also the land-based anglers, there has been a few squid coming off the local jetty, best later in the evening just on sunset. For the boaties, still a fair few King George whiting kicking about. They should start to thicken up a little over the next couple of weeks. Hot spots to try would be the Marrick's Tyre Reef, out the front of Cudmore Terrace and a little bit further south down towards Cowlard's Landing.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start locally. The best reports of whiting we've had over the past week have been from down the passage still. So yeah, those grounds between Carcass and Taylors have been fishing pretty well. We have had a few boats report quite a few small snapper in that area too, so just remember if you do start catching small pinkies, you may have to move away from them. The south coast has been a little bit more hit and miss for salmon over the past week. Some schools have been out of range and there have been a few quiet days down there, but hopefully it does pick up again soon. Moving over to Coffin Bay, we have had reports within the bay of salmon trout. Not a lot of whiting inside the bay there, but the farm beach grounds and through to the sand hills has been fishing pretty well for whiting. Up the western side, Talia and Sharinga have been producing a few salmon with a few gummy sharks at night time. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Gummy sharks at night time sounds fun. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, we've had a bit of everything today.
Thanks, Maddie. Yes, that's right. We had rain, sun, clouds and some windy conditions today. Clare recorded 1 millimetre in the gauges. Ceduna saw more than 3 millimetres fall, while Port Lincoln clocked around the 4 millimetre mark. Temperature-wise, 21 degrees in Port Pirie this afternoon, 16 the top in Clare. Sunny and 25 degrees in Cooper Pedy today, but with the wind gusts of 65 kilometres an hour, it may have felt a touch cooler than that. Looking more broadly at today's weather map, Port Augusta reached 23 degrees, 22 in Whyalla, 17 in Kadina and Port Lincoln, 19 in Adelaide and Woodna. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a deep low pressure system well south of the Bight will move slowly eastwards to be south of Tasmania later Saturday. A high pressure system will move over the north of South Australia during the weekend. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Westerly winds 20 to 30 knots south. Seas 1 to 3 metres, south to southwesterly swell below 1 metre, increasing up to 2 metres. Showers in Port Lincoln tomorrow, 15 degrees there, a windy top of 15 in Cleve, also between 8 and 17 degrees in Woodner, windy and rainy conditions there. A shower or two and a top of 18 in Wyala, 1 degree warmer in Port Augusta, 19, showers in Kadina as well, 16 degrees. Port Pirie, showers and set to reach a high of 17 degrees. Clare will be as warm as 12 and as cool as 8 degrees, and Broken Hill will be partly cloudy and 19. Taking a look further through the week now, rainy across most of the Spencer Gulf on Saturday except for Wyala and Port Augusta, 18 in Broken Hill and Port Pirie, 16 in Adelaide and Port Lincoln. Taking a look at Sunday's outlook now, sunny up in Coober Pedy, 25 degrees, 23 in Port Augusta, partly cloudy conditions there, partly cloudy in Wyala as well, heading for a top of 21 degrees. Possible showers in Port Pirie, 20, possible showers in Kadina and Port Lincoln as well, heading for a top of 17 degrees. And finally, taking our first look at Monday's outlook now, and it's looking like a lovely start to the working week. A sunny top of 25 in Port Augusta, blue skies and 21 in Wyala and Broken Hill, possible showers and 17 in Port Lincoln. And that's all the weather from me for tonight, Maddie. I'll see you soon with an update. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.